The death of the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, uniting the country. Marvel's Black Panther breaking racial barriers. And President Trump choosing to sit with Kanye West instead of his own cabinet members. These are just some of the key pivotal moments of 2018. While every year is defined by its top political, social, and historic moments, we now take a look at some of the top pop culture moments from this year. So joining us now to give us his top 5 picks is the founding director of the Bleier Center for Television and Popular Culture at Syracuse University, Professor Robert Thompson. Professor, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So, as a professor of pop culture, what are your top 5 moments from 2018?
Okay, well, these are in no particular order, and there were a lot of pop culture moments, so it's hard to
was
narrow
rich
it
this
down
year.
to 5. It certainly was. But I guess it's just as well that we start with this piece of American Dada, this bit of performance art, which was the Kanye West performance in front of the president. Because I think it speaks to so many things about 2018. First, as you had pointed out, the idea that the president is more likely to pay attention to a celebrity like Kanye West than he might be to pay attention to his own advisors and briefings and all of the rest of it. But second, I think it's a perfect pairing with the fact that Kanye comes in and delivers that, what, by the way, was an extraordinary bit of poetry. I don't know what else it was, but it certainly was interesting. And then Jim Acosta, who, of course, is a major part of the Washington press corps, is kicked out of the White House. So we've got this representation here in the pairing of these two of the war on the press and all that we've been talking about. At the same time, we've got this great pop culture moment where this award-winning, incredibly talented performer is now doing other things than just singing in his performances. He's now doing performances in front of the President of the United States in a genre I don't think we quite have a name for yet.
That was definitely one that set tongues wagging, especially on Twitter, which is a place that seems to get a lot of people into trouble this year.
It is, and maybe that would be going into our next category of great pop culture moments, is the fact that this year, I mean, this has happened before and it's going to continue to happen, but this year was a good representation of the fact that how things work in the entertainment industry, what gets on and what stays on, who gets fired, is now being determined more and more by public response to things people say. One of the biggest pop culture stories of 2018, of course, was the incredible success of the return of Roseanne. And everybody was all excited that this was going to be a show that was going to be able to give a voice to the working class like the original did and all of that. Roseanne gets on, does some racist tweets, and all of a sudden the show hasn't been renewed. She's not coming back. And while it came back as The Conners, itself a big story, Roseanne essentially was written out of the picture and in fact killed off thanks to some offensive tweets. Kevin Hart, very recently, for 2 days, was going to be the host of the Oscars. Some old tweets that he had done, and some old comedy stuff that he had performed, finally got him to step down from doing that. So this whole idea that public response now, because there are so many places for the public to respond, is really in many ways become a major force in how big things happen in the entertainment industry and in pop culture. The most successful television show of 2018 was canceled and had to be completely retooled thanks to a tweet.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned cancel, because now we're seeing some backlash with people saying that cancel culture has gone too far.
Well, I think one has to look at these on a case-by-case basis. And a lot of people have been saying that about the Kevin Hart situation. A lot of people have come to his defense. And I think we're working that all out at this point. I think there was a long time in which we tolerated just about anything. People said horrible things. People did horrible things. We've all been hearing about this over the past couple of years. And I think it's encouraging that now there are things you can't get away with.
Another one of the big issues from 2018 that I believe is also on your list.
Right. Well, I think that's kind of a continuing. The whole Me Too and sexual harassment and all of that that doesn't just get this year. It got last year. It'll get next year. But it isn't stopping. I mean, we had some big stories with regards to sexual harassment, not the least of which was the Les Moonves story, which broke, I think, in September and is getting uglier and uglier the more we find out. And let's remember, this guy was the head of CBS, one of the most powerful cultural arbiters on planet Earth. The stories we heard about during the Kavanaugh hearings, Jeff Fager over at 60 Minutes. So 2018 certainly gave us plenty of the stories we've become very weary of hearing over the past couple of years.
Okay, well, give us another one because we are running out of time. What are the other two stories on your list?
Well, I think Childish Gambino's This Is America was one of the most extraordinary, 4 minutes of popular culture of 2018. That video did some amazing things. I've seen it probably 50 times. I find new things in it each time. And one could also say 2018 is the year of Donald Glover. He also did the second season of Atlanta. By the way, I think the best new show to come out in 5 years. And in 2019, for heaven's sakes, he's going to be Simba.
Yeah.
He's become one of the geniuses of American culture.
No, that's definitely impressive, and we expect to see big numbers from that movie. But give us, if there was one last thing that you can mention that was really a big pop culture moment from 2018.
Well, there were a pair of films, Black Panther and Crazy Rich Asians, which both did really, really, really well in the box office, and in fact had almost exclusively people of color in their cast. And both of those movies were major moments. And we have to say, you mentioned at the beginning, but I think the death of Aretha Franklin for about a week reminded people of what an important part of American culture she was, and in fact, taught a lot of people who may not have known about her career.
Of course, and in regards to those movies, they not only did big numbers here, but they also did big numbers overseas, and I think that was a big part of the story. Professor, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the program and rehashing some of these moments from pop culture.
Always my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.